guys, and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today we are discussing the Getafe game today, and yeah, it's going to be a very difficult one. Obviously, this is going to be an important game because yesterday Barca dropped points once again. They've 3 games in a row now. They haven't won a game. First they lost against Sociedad, then they drew against Celta last week, and now they've lost again against Las Palmas yesterday. So, some really positive results for us. On our end. With Barca dropping points. So it's going to be important for us. We're going against Getafe, a team that we, tend to struggle against. A team that tends to, keep the goals out and is quite solid. So, how would you say that this game is going to go? Because, I think every game against Getafe normally goes the same way, right?
Yeah. It's always a physical game, and we've actually had the better hand of Getafe in the past. We've actually won the last 15 matches at the Bernabeu when we have played Getafe. But of course, football is played on the day, and of course, given Real Madrid's inconsistencies this season, despite us being really good in the last La Liga games, I still believe that we can come out with a victory, but I know it's going to be a bit more tight. Similar to last year, I believe, when Bellingham scored the last minute winner. So we know it's going to be difficult, but I'm confident that the team can have another good league performance and win.
Yeah, and if we're going to talk about Getafe a little bit quickly, on the other end, we're talking about, Jose Bordalas' team once again. Obviously, a really tight team. Want to get their yellow cards in. Want to beat the shit out of the opposite team and make sure the other team, isn't left walking. And you know what they're going to do. They're going to pack the box out. And make sure that they, every chance that they do get, they try and make the most of it. Otherwise, they'll just take a 0-0 draw at the end of the day. So, last week I saw that Getafe scored their first open play goal of the season, which came from Alvaro Rodriguez, obviously a player that we know well. And a lot of their attackers are players that we know quite well. Alvaro, like I said just now, Borja Mayoral and Peter Gonzalez as well. So these are guys that we obviously have had in Castilla and the first team as well. So yeah, I mean, we know what Getafe is going to do going forward. We're going to try and knock it down to Alvaro and to try and make the most out of everything that they got. But I don't think that Getafe, that so far this season they've just not been able to create much, of their own chances. And I don't think that's gonna change in this game. We are missing, defenders. We are missing defensive midfielders, but I don't think that's going to change too much. I think all of this is going to be played in Getafe's half ultimately, and I don't think, apart from a couple of clearances, we're going to have too many issues. Hopefully, the main thing is don't concede early. If we concede early, that's going to be a horrible pattern. That's we've had that before where Getafe score early and then we have a horrible rest of the game. We just need to make sure that we stay tight, stay compact, and make sure that Getafe don't get any chances. And I seriously doubt Getafe can create many chances of their own. As long as we don't give anything up to them, I don't think they can do much. They haven't got the same, creative players as they did in the past, and they're really struggling right now. So I would say that this Getafe team haven't really got much attacking impetus right now, and they are struggling to create chances, and so therefore I would say just make sure that the Getafe don't really have any chances. They're not going to create much of their own. And on the other end, obviously Getafe is going to pack out the box and make sure that they're going to get we're going to get a difficult game. They've got guys like Gene still at the club, and it's guys like Alderete as well. So these are guys who are familiar to us. We've played them over the years many times, and they're solid defenders, right? They're going to make sure that Getafe just put like this many men in the box and make sure that that our players don't get any chances. I think it's going to be important to play some of these more creative guys in this team today, and I think it's going to be important to get some shots off. I think that's the most important thing. We need to test David Soria, because a lot of the time against Getafe, against teams like this who pack out the box, we tend to just play around. We tend to just knock it side to side, and eventually it just doesn't lead to many shots. So I think the most important thing is to get our shots off, create some good chances, and make sure that we try and get a goal early, because if we get a goal early, I think that's going to be game over, to be honest. It's when, you know, we start crawling up to the 70th minute mark and we still haven't scored, and then that's when it gets the dangerous point. So what are your thoughts on this Getafe side as a proposition?
Yeah, I think I couldn't agree more with the analysis that you gave. It's actually spot on in what they've been doing this season. You know, you also mentioned the past players who I'm honestly looking forward to seeing, especially Alvaro Rodriguez, because we definitely need a profile like him in the squad in terms of the striking option. It's because he had Joselu last year, you know, so a player like Alvaro Rodriguez with two Ancelotti's last 20 minutes system really well, in the last 20 minutes specifically. You know, someone like Joselu would have been good in this game. Of course, he was dangerous last year. When we went on to win late, and guys like Joselu and Bellingham arriving in the box late is extremely important in games like these. However, without Joselu, Mbappe isn't really making the runs in the penalty box that we would have liked. You know, so there's going to be a lot of emphasis on Bellingham playing high up the pitch. You know, so Bellingham should have a lot of freedom going forward, and that's going to help a lot with Lucas Vazquez being back and Valverde being pushed into midfield, which would cover for the Camavinga injury. You know, so of course, Modric is expected to start, which is a good thing for this game because we do need a bit of creativity. You know, so it's going to be Valverde, Modric, Bellingham, then of course Mbappe. We know that's going to be 5 players. That's 4 players, my apologies. Then of course Ceballos, Brahim and Gula would fill up the additional 2. So regardless of who are the other options that left out, we have a strong squad that can give us chances to score these goals. You know, and of course Endrick I saw a report saying that Endrick is going to start the game. But of course Rodrigo is there as well. So there's a lot of options for us, you know, in attack. That's compared to last game. You know, so I'm really looking forward to this game because I do believe we have the attacking options with Rodrigo coming back, along with the midfield creativity to help us get some goals.
Yeah, I mean, let's get started with our lineup, because I think that's going to tell a lot about the way we're going to play. So in goal, I assume we've both gone for Courtois. No doubt, he showed his brilliant performance against Liverpool again. Did everything that he could, but you know, we still lost.
Yeah, of course. Courtois, the best goalkeeper in the world, will start this game.
Yeah. At right back, I've gone for Lucas Vazquez. He was actually quite good when he came off the bench against Liverpool. It was obviously a little too late. He won the penalty, and I think it's obviously important to have Fede back into the midfield. So, would you go for Lucas Vazquez at right back here?
Yeah, I think we need Valverde back in midfield, especially with Camavinga injured. It's a simple solution at this point. You know, of course, we have a lot of discussions about the fullbacks at Madrid, especially in that position, of who we should sign for the long term in January as well. But now we need Lucas in the squad, and we need Vazquez. We need Valverde in midfield, so Lucas just has to start, and the team just has to work a bit harder to limit any chances along that side.
Yeah. At centre back, now I haven't actually we haven't done a podcast together since Raul Asensio's emergence, so I wanted to ask you about Asensio. How have you thought his performances have been? Because I think they've been great. I think he's shown a real eagerness to play, a real composure as well. He's shown like this mentality, which I just didn't expect from this guy who wasn't even first choice for Castilla. So it's quite exciting to see this guy who maybe isn't exactly one of the most promising talents from Castilla. You see him step up and play for the first team. What are your thoughts been on his performances so far, and do you reckon Carlo's going to continue as, you know, the guys come back, you know, Shermani and Alaba come back?
Yeah, I have 2 quotes from this one. In the preseason, I'll start by saying that John Martinez and Yaka Ramon was the better prospects than him. Of course, due to age and due to their ability on the ball as well. So they were rated a bit higher for the first team than him, and of course injuries of both players gave him an opportunity and he took his chance. And of course you never really know how good these guys is until you give them an opportunity, and when they're playing better players, of course they'll play at a higher level. compared to when they played in Castilla. So I think this is a good opportunity for him. He was behind in the pecking order, and now this is a good chance for him to take steps forward within the first team. I think this is the first time a Castilla player has started. Will start 3 games, or maybe play 4 games back to back in a long time. I can't remember a Castilla player playing for Madrid ever since I started supporting the team.
I'd say maybe Reguilon's probably the last time.
Reguilon, yeah. But I think at that time Reguilon was promoted to the first team in 2018-19. So it's I don't think he was considered a Castilla player, but in terms of so that's maybe the last player. But before then, I can't remember any player at all. So that's why this is such an incredible situation. But in terms of his positioning, his tackling, his aggression, it's really good. And I think he's a good partner for Rudiger. And I'm a bit confused as to why Rudiger is partnering well with Asensio over Militao, just like he partnered better with Tchouaméni over Militao, and he partnered better with Alaba over Militao. I think that's maybe something we have to maybe look at in the long term for next season, because I'm not too sure why that partnership isn't working.
Yeah, I mean, we had our concerns about the partnership, and obviously those concerns aren't really a problem for us now until Militao come back in in a year's time, whatever. So obviously that's something for us to look at in the future, but it's something that we have talked about many times. The natural replacement, ultimately someone who's going to replace, and we've discussed guys like Vallejo potentially taking that role. Obviously he doesn't look very good at all this season when he played that one game against Alaves, and we conceded 2 goals immediately. So I think it's important to have that natural replacement, seemingly as we're not going to sign that guy in the transfer market. So to bring that guy through the ranks and bring him through Castilla, I think is really important. And Asensio, he isn't young. He's young, but he's not the youngest guy. He's not like Joan Martinez, who's 17, and he's not like Jacobo Ramon, who's 19. He's 21. So he's not this exciting prospect from Castilla, and I think that's gives him the experience. So ultimately, it gives him a little bit more experience than guys like Jacobo or Joan Martinez, and so I think he's a little bit more mentally prepared to play for Real Madrid, and you can see it. That's the one thing I've been really impressed by, the fact that he's just not. He's not phased by the big games, and I saw that against Liverpool, and I was really impressed with his performance against Liverpool. He was one of a handful who were good against Liverpool. And I've been really impressed with him since he's come up to the first team, and hopefully, long may it continue. Hopefully, Ancelotti continues to trust him, even as Tchouaméni comes back, even as Alaba comes back. Hopefully, Raul Asensio continues to play, because I see a guy here who may not be Sergio Ramos in the future, but I see a guy who can at least be a natural. I see a guy who can at least do a job and help us around the team, and that's what I want from this guy. He's not some remarkable prospect, but at least I can see a guy who's going to be a solid rotation option, a squad player, and I think he would love to play that role as well. So what are your thoughts on him being a potential natural replacement in the future?
Yeah, definitely. The good thing about it is that Nacho could be like maybe a point for him in terms of moving forward, because Nacho wasn't the most talented player in Castilla, but he had a lot of aggression, a lot of personality, and he was determined, to be successful. So I think this could be a similar situation, because Asensio can also play at full back as well, at right back as well. I think he played there for a short time. No, it wasn't Asensio, it was Carrillo, my apologies, who played right back last season. But the good news for Asensio was that all of the Castilla players, sometimes you just have to look at things, and maybe certain things might just be written in the stars at this their moment. Joan Martinez was the preferred option, he got injured. Then Jacobo Ramon is injured, Marvel and Carrillo was sold. So there wasn't any competition from Castilla in terms of getting the call up. So he was actually the short choice. Rafa Marin was sold as well. So he was definitely the short choice to come in to the team. So I think that it's a good opportunity that he took time and played a factor. And of course, he was healthy. In this Madrid squad, to get these opportunities, you have to be healthy. you have to be there because there's so many injuries, so there's so many football to play, and if you just take your opportunity when it comes, then that's good for you. Because, for example, that Jesus Foley, who played well off the bench and he got the opportunity, he'd have been given a chance in the game against Leganes, was it? Leganes?
Yeah.
Like against Leganes, and then maybe he'd have had the opportunity to show how good he is. But if Asensio is starting over Jesus Vallejo, then that's really the end of Vallejo in this team. I honestly believe that if an injury happens to one of the centre backs, it's going to be Mendy who's going to play centre back, and then Chouameni again when he comes back. Because when the injury happened to Militao, it was Mendy and Asensio who went out to warm up in that game. So Vallejo's way down the pecking order. I don't think he's going to play any more games this season except for the first leg of the Copa del Rey. In January, when that comes, he's going to get game time there. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, Vallejo, I think his Real Madrid career is probably finished, especially with his emergence now, and slowly the return of the injured guys. So, I think Vallejo's done. And it's good to see Asensio, hopefully another good performance today, to reinforce his claims as, a potential centre-back of the future. So, it's good to see him playing so well for us right now, and hopefully, long may it continue. Left back, Ferland Mendy. Now, I want to talk about Ferland Mendy because I've gone for Fran Garcia here. I want to talk about Ferland Mendy because, it's been a poor couple of performances now. It's so far this season, I don't think he's put in one good performance. And I've been really concerned with him because it just feels like he provides nothing going forward, and he's really bad defensively as well so far this season. It feels like just nothing's going right for Ferland Mendy, and I don't really see a reason why. I remember 2 seasons ago when he was poor as well. That you can at least blame on the fact that he was injured, and when he came back he was out of rhythm and he just couldn't play very well that season. This season he's been fit, he's been healthy, and he's just looked really bad. He just hasn't looked, himself whatsoever, and I just don't get it. I don't get why this guy plays so badly at some points. I just don't get it. Going forward, him and Mbappe on the left hand side against Liverpool was a total horror show, to be honest. Both of them couldn't control the ball for their lives, and when Fran Garcia comes on, it's such a stark difference. Even if Fran Garcia is not the best left back in the world, it's such a difference it makes. Last week against Leganes, it made such a difference to have Fran Garcia there on the left hand side, a player who can actually control the ball. It felt like it was so important to have him, and so I'm really concerned about how Ferland Mendy is playing. And we came up with the report. There was the report that if there was a left back to be sold, it would be Fran Garcia, and that just doesn't make any sense to me because the way they're playing, Fran Garcia has been better defensively and going forward. So why should he be sold over Ferland Mendy? It just doesn't make sense to me, apart from the fact that he was given a new contract. So what are your thoughts on Ferland Mendy's performances so far this season?
Well, I remember a couple of seasons ago when Carvajal was struggling against maybe every single left winger in the world, and we all thought that it's time to move on, and that maybe he can be a right centre back, he can be a centre back, and then or maybe play right back as a backup, or maybe just have a lot of cover for him. But then he showed last year and the early stages of this season, and in the years as well, as a starter and win every single trophy except for the Copa del Rey, that he is the best right back in the world last year. And he came back from a difficult season and showed that. And I think I wasn't shocked that it happened because I really felt that he at least had like a couple of seasons again in him, and that ACL injury could change things. But in relation to Mendy, I haven't said this about any Real Madrid player in a long time. And I haven't said this on this podcast, so like a line like this, but I think Ferland Mendy is finished at this level at Madrid, in my opinion. I don't think he is going to show the level that he did, because his main strength was his defensive ability, and he's not showing that now. And if you cannot show your defensive ability when you're not good going forward, then there's nothing positive that we can say about it, because he's not attacking well and he's not defending well. So then what's the point of Ferland Mendy? Unless he can reinvent himself as a centre back to end the season, that's the only way I'm going to see him playing. It's the best option is just maybe start Garcia at left back and if you don't want to start Garcia, then start Camavinga at left back. And if that's not the case, you should just start Alaba at left back when he comes back. And if he can do it, but I don't think Alaba can come back from ACL injury to left back. So that's discarded for me. So Fran Garcia and Camavinga, in my opinion, should be higher than him in the pecking order. I know that's not the case in Ancelotti's eyes. So, in my opinion, I think Philomeni should not be starting for Madrid again.
Yeah, I mean, you said he is finished. I mean, I can't come to the conclusion yet, because of the fact that he hasn't had an injury. It's not like this decline is due to injuries or age or anything like that. So I can't make that definitive conclusion just yet. I'm getting close. I'm definitely getting close to that conclusion.
Do you remember when Courtois made that big save in the 2022 Champions League final against Salah?
Yeah.
And Salah actually turned Mendy inside out that time.
Mm-hmm.
That's when, of course, he was at his best. And Salah turned Mendy inside out, and then Courtois made that big save, and that was a big chance for Salah to equalize. The same thing happened on Mendy drew a penalty. Like, Real Madrid has played Liverpool so many times that Mendy could not have done his research to know Salah that well, exactly what he's going to do. And I understand that that Salah is the best winger in the world at this specific point in time, or maybe the best forward in the world at this specific point in time. But he could have done better there. And if your main strength is defending, then at least you could have just done that part effectively. That's it. If you're not attacking well, then you could have at least done that part effectively. At Carvajal, when you're struggling, at least he could have pulled out an assist or make a dead pass or maybe be good under pressure. With Mendy, I'm not seeing that. That's why I'm saying that he's finished, because in the 2021-2022 season, he was still strong defensively, but he wasn't as good as the year before under Zidane. Then the year after, he was decent, but not amazing. The year last year, he started a bit slow and then caught himself a bit, because he had a decent end to the season last year. But this year, I think every year he has gradually gotten worse, in my opinion, and the stats is there to show it. I made a post on it a couple of weeks ago on how poor his statistics are, not just defensively, but attacking as well. And his passing statistics are so poor. The passing statistics is his best statistic, but most of his passes hasn't been progressive passes. He isn't doing well defensively or attacking. So that's why I think, as a club like Madrid, I've said this a lot of times before, yes, we are not going to have a coach who is going to have a solid system. We know that, but to be successful in modern football, you need a fullback who can do both. And Camavinga is a better fullback than Mendy, in my opinion, from what we saw of Camavinga the year before last. And if we have to put Camavinga there to get multiple options in a game, multiple midfield options in a game where you can start Valverde, Tchouameni, Bellingham in midfield, then yeah, I'm fine with that. And then Garcia would be the player to come off the bench if that's the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a way back other than, he has to show his defensive ability again, because he's getting cooked by every winger that he plays. And that's unacceptable. If your main strength is defense, you can't just get cooked by every guy. Because, if you put me on that field, I can do the exact same going forward, and I'll get cooked every week as well. So there's no point in playing Mendy there. It just brings no advantage whatsoever. Whereas before, you could have looked at him as a solid defensive option, as the guy to lock up the wing, and now you just look at him as a zero, a big zero on the pitch. That's all I see him. Okay, let's move on to the midfield, because we're obviously missing a few guys. Camavinga played an excellent game against Liverpool and then went off. So unfortunately he's out. Tchouameni's obviously not ready yet. He'll be back next week, I believe the report said. So next week for Athletic Club he'll be back. But that means we're gonna have to come up with a temporary solution with no defensive midfielders here. And the solution I've gone for is I will say that I think Ceballos has had a couple of good weeks. He played well against Liverpool when he came off the bench, and he played well last week against Leganes. So I'd say put a midfield, a double pivot of Ceballos and Valverde. I think they're both fantastic midfielders, and I think I've really enjoyed Ceballos' performances really recently. I think his profile of being a little bit more tenacious, a bit more aggressive, as well as being a bit more elegant on the ball. I think it really helps us in this current moment, when the team's a bit more chaotic, a bit needs a bit of a pacifier in the midfield, an orchestrator in the midfield. I think Ceballos really helps us with that. So I would go for Ceballos and Valverde in the midfield alongside Jude Bellingham and Luka Modric. So what are your thoughts on the midfield?
Yeah, I have to say I agree with you. Especially the fact that we know Ancelotti is going to start Luka Modric. I don't think we have any other midfield options on the bench, except for the youngster. I think Shima. What's his name?
Chema.
Shima. I haven't seen him play. I have to be honest with you. I'm mostly if I'm focusing on Castilla players, Gonzalo Garcia, who I speak about after later on.
Yeah.
But I think one of the midfielders has to be on the bench, in my opinion. Just at least change the game. I think that player should be Modric. I said Modric might start earlier because I think that's what Ancelotti is going to do. But for me, we at least need something off the bench if it doesn't work out. I think Modric is starting as well when he's playing. So I think there should be Ceballos, Bellingham, Valverde, then Kula, Brahim, and Mbappe. I know that we didn't speak about the attackers yet, but it came out in my apologies. But that should be the front six, in my opinion. Modric should be the one coming on to at least make an impact on the game. Then you have Trigo and Hendrick on the bench as well. I think that's the best solution because Getafe, they're going to be working hard and running hard. So we do need players, and then Modric can be the player off the bench who can change things.
Yeah, I think you can. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say this is a big La Liga game. Barcelona lost early. We need to rebound from the loss to Liverpool, and we need to win. This is a big game.
Yeah.
So,
I would say personally I would go for Hendrick up top. I mentioned how I would like a shot creator, someone who's going to create shots for himself, someone who's just going to get some shots on the board. I think Hendrick would help us with that. With Mbappe, the midweek performance, let's not speak about that for too long, but it was really, 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 really bad. Like it was one of the worst performances. Like I don't think you could have got any much worse from the Barcelona game, but I genuinely think this might have been worse, which is crazy. Two biggest games of his Real Madrid career, and he puts in two big stinkers like that. That is just not normal. But you can't drop him now because ultimately that's just gonna destroy his confidence, and you kind of do need Mbappe to be at his best. But I'm worried because having an Mbappe-led team right now just doesn't favour us whatsoever. I'm nervous about that. In terms of Arda, I thought he played quite poorly against Liverpool actually in the midweek. I think it's very obvious to me that if Arda plays, it has to be as part of the attackers. Because if Arda plays as a number 10, that means Jude Bellingham has to drop deeper. And when Jude Bellingham drops deeper, Real Madrid overall, you can tell just they play much worse because they need Jude Bellingham as that 10. They need Jude Bellingham playing a little bit further forward. We always play better with Jude Bellingham playing a little bit further forward. So I think that's the conclusion I've got to make after these weeks. Is seeing that. I think Jude Bellingham has to play as a number 10. I think has to happen as a number 10 because otherwise Real Madrid do tend to struggle. Otherwise, Modric, you mentioned he has to come off the bench. I think, I wouldn't mind Modric coming off the bench. I think that's completely fine. I thought, he started off pretty good against Liverpool. Then you could just tell he was tiring out, and you could tell he just wasn't at that level anymore, so that's fine. Modric coming off the bench in this game is completely fine. I don't mind that. Obviously no Vinicius. Brahim Diaz, I just don't think is the right fit for this game. Off the bench, maybe. I think he then can help drive the performance, but I think immediately starting, I don't think this is the right game for Brahim Diaz. I think other games are definitely much better for him. So I wouldn't go for Brahim Diaz off the starting this game, so therefore I just think that would be my team for this game. It's obviously we're struggling with injuries, now we're slowly coming back. It's good to see Rodrigo back because, I don't think how much more of Mbappe football I could take. Just him up top. So, having Rodrigo back is good, but I don't want to rush him back in case we aggravate something. Coming off the bench would be completely fine for Rodrigo, especially if we're drawing or something. 0-0 coming into the 65th minute, I'd bring in Rodrigo. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tough one. It's a tough situation right now with Real Madrid. I mean, what else have you got anything else to say on this attack on the midfield?
I think I understand your Brian point, but I think because we have Rodrigo and Endrick on the bench, I think that's why Rodrigo is not ready to start yet. It's his game back, so that's why I went for Brahim with Endrick. Honestly, I'm not too sure. I don't have an opinion on him starting, if I'm being honest, whether it's good or bad. Well, it's not bad. I wouldn't say bad. I wouldn't use that word. I would say whether it's good or normal or okay, or if it's the best option, because we haven't seen him much. We know he's going to take chances and hit shots at the goal, but we also don't know how he's going to do from the start, especially after the little performance when he didn't really get anything going in that game. So I don't have a big opinion on it, if I'm being honest. I hope if he gets a chance to start and he does really well, and he can maybe start the next game with Mbappe, even Endrick or Rodrigo, that could be fun. If he does well in this game, that could be something new that we haven't seen before as a country. But I don't have an opinion, because if he starts, that's good. He gets an opportunity. Someone gets the opportunity to rest, and he gets the opportunity to show that he can get more minutes. So that's one. And if he doesn't start here, we haven't seen much of him from the start to say, oh, well, it's unlucky that he didn't start. So for me, whichever way it goes, I think I'm going to be okay with it. I don't think it's good or bad in a Liga game once the intensity is there, in my opinion. Once the intensity is there, for me, from the attacking players.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Endrick should start because I think we need the shot creating. But with this crop of players, I'm not either here or there with the starting 11 right now. I don't think it's, I don't think like you said, I think there is a strong opinion to have coming into this Getafe game. We can't be, beggars can't be choosers in this situation, right? And I think that's definitely something we have to consider. But yeah, that's just about it. What we've got to say for this Getafe game. Hopefully, like you said, it's a win because we need to bounce back after the Liverpool game in the midweekend after Barcelona dropped points. It's important, with 2 games in hand, and Atleti are playing really well recently. They're on 32 points now, 2 points behind Barca as well. So they're definitely in the title race. After a slow start, they're right back into it, and they won 5-0 yesterday, I think it was, against Valladolid. So they're definitely in it as well. So now we've not only got Barcelona to look at, but we've also got Atleti to look at. So that's something we have to consider. But yeah, I mean, that's all I've really got to say for this game. Have you got anything else to add?
Yeah, I'm just going to follow up on your point and just say that we have no choice but to play Mbappe into form. There's no other way around it. We have to play him until he gets going. We signed him for big wages, and we can't bench him now after waiting so many years to sign him. The coach has to find a way to make it work. It's a bit difficult, but he has to find a way to make it work. A player, in my opinion, who I really like in Castilla is maybe Gonzalo Garcia. So he just scored 4 goals. He's a really good striker, attacker, winger, either side. I think he has to get opportunities at the first team. And at least within the next couple of weeks due to the schedule. Hopefully in the week, I think the Bilbao game is during the week. I think that because Castilla won't have any games, I believe, so I think he should get an opportunity just to at least get some more experience to the first team. Maybe if it's just a travel, I think he should be the first team. He's a good attacker, and maybe he can compete with Endrick for a backup position for the next 2 weeks at least until Vinicius comes back.
Yeah, that would be nice, but obviously we know what Carlo's like, and I wouldn't count on it right now. But yeah, Gonzalo Garcia is definitely one to watch. Hopefully At the end of the season, he will find a new club and try and make his way instead of staying at Castilla for too long. That would probably be the best course of action for him. But that is it for today. Obviously, Santiago Bernabeu, early game, 3:15 UK time. That's obviously going to be 4:15 Spanish time. And yeah, that is it for today. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.